Hey folks, how are we doing today? Evening. We'll just give it a couple of minutes for people to arrive. So you got time to put the kettle on, grab a cuppa, and then we will get started on Welcome to Eve University. Okay, we're now 3 minutes past, so let's get cracking, I guess. Yeah, the class is just starting, so perfect timing. So, hi everyone. This is Welcome to Eve University. This is an orientation class it's really aimed at new members of Eve University. So this is aimed at people who have recently joined the corporation or perhaps are interested in joining the corporation. That explains what we do, how we can help you learn, and yeah, just how to start learning with us basically. So my name is Laura Karpinski. I am your teacher for this class. I'm also the CEO of Eve University, so this is kind of my specialist subject, or should be. For the first time as well, I'm going to try streaming this class on Twitch. So I can see we've got a few people in the Twitch chat. So I kind of wasn't expecting anyone to listen because I didn't announce it or anything. So hi, anyone who is in the Twitch chat. You are listening to this class, which is really aimed at new uni members or people that are interested in joining Eve Uni. So if it's a little bit specialist, then apologies. Come along to another one. I'm hopefully going to be streaming a few more classes later on. But you're very welcome to sit and listen and ask questions and all that kind of thing. So let's start off with some rules first of all, just to keep everything running nice and smoothly. So first of all, can you please, if you're joining us on Discord, can you please make sure you have your microphone set to push to talk or mute yourself? If you have any questions, you can ask questions if you're on Discord, you can ask them in the text channel that's attached to this voice channel. If you can't find it, then click on the name of the voice channel in the left-hand side, and one of the options looks like a little speech bubble and it says open chat. If you go to there, then you will join the text channel. If you are listening on Twitch, you can ask questions in Twitch chat as well. I will try and keep an eye on them, but as I said, it's the first time I'm streaming a class on Twitch, so I'm not kind of used to it, so do apologies in advance if I miss any questions that have been asked in Twitch. You can ask questions in voice. I'll have some time at the end for people to ask questions in voice if they want to. Just be aware as well that if you are asking questions in voice, obviously I am streaming this, so just be aware of that if you're wanting to ask questions in voice and that you're happy with your questions being asked on Twitch. There's no practical element to this class, so just kind of stay safe somewhere. Like, I don't really care, I'm not the space police, but if you lose your ship because you get distracted and because you listen to this class, then yeah, kind of sucks to be you. So, okay, so that is me. That is me and the class. But what I'm interested in is you guys. So, can I ask you, if you are in the Discord chat, let me know. How long have you been a member of Eve University? If you are not a member, are you planning on joining? Like, what's going on? Tell me about you. Okay, so Ravari has been with us for a month. Lovely. Beguma, a day. Nice. You are super new. Gaina, birthday 2nd of May. Okay. Oh no, I'm switching that to the wrong way round. It should be 5th of February, shouldn't it? 1 day and 6 minutes. That's very specific. Love it. Less than a week. I joined a day ago. Love your name. Prectual Sedator. Gotta be careful with that one. Just over a week, 5 or 6 days, a week. Joined last week. 1 month, 3rd time attending this class. Okay, hopefully you found it useful the last 2 times. Raven, I don't know, I think I exhausted my funny replies to that question. Yeah, indeed. About a week. Less than 8 hours I've been with the uni. Wow, that might be some kind of record. I think we did have someone who literally just joined and then immediately the first thing they did was come to the class. So, but that is very close to the record, I think, less than 8 hours. Nice. Okay, well, super. Thanks for that, and thanks for turning up to this class, because I'm hoping it's going to give you some good insights on how you can make the most of your time with us. So, just to run through what we're going to talk about over the course of this class, we are going to talk about, first of all, the goal of Eve University. Why are we here in the first place? Then we're going to talk about some of our rules and, importantly, who you can shoot. Very important. Next, we're going to talk about what do we offer. So what kind of stuff do we offer that you can take advantage of as a new player that can help you learn. We're going to talk about our communities. Then we're going to briefly talk about Discord, and we're going to briefly talk about the wiki. So let's start at the beginning, shall we? So the goal of Eve University, why are we here in the first place? Very important to know. So the goal of Eve University is, and always has been, to educate members and also to educate the wider Eve community about Eve Online. That's why we're here, okay? We're all about education. We're all about educating not just our members, but also the rest of Eve as well. That's kind of the point of Eve University. And as I see it, there are 3 stages of being part of our community. So first stage is the stage that probably most of you are at the moment, which is learning. So learning, you are here. Am I not sharing my screen? Let me do that. Apologies. Share screen. There we go. Is that better? Aha, there we go. Okay, so you should now be able to see my slides. If you can't see my slides, if you're on Discord, then have a look at the stream. I'm now streaming the slides. Okay, so learning. So we're all learning, obviously. So you're probably at this stage of learning. So, podcast class, yeah, exactly. So when you're at the stage of learning, your job is to basically kind of try and absorb as much as you can. So my advice for you at this stage is try a bit of everything, okay? In Eve University, we have so many different things that we offer, and a lot of it, if you're super new, you're probably not going to understand exactly what it is. You'll see like an event on the calendar and you'll be like, I don't know, I don't really know what that is. They're saying they're running Homefront, so I don't really know what Homefront is. My advice to you at this stage is just try it. Like, just go along to stuff, because basically if people are putting events on for Eve University, they're expecting new players to join, and they're expecting people to come along and say, I have no idea what this is, but I saw it pop up, so how do I do this? So, and that is fine. That's what Eve University is geared up for, okay? So don't ever think, oh, I don't have enough experience to come along to this thing because I don't know what it is. Just go along, ask what it is, and people will help you out. Also at this stage, as well as trying a little bit of everything, also take advantage of the free stuff. I'm going to tell you about loads of free stuff that we offer, like free ships and free implants, free ships, free implants, discounted mining barges, all of this kind of stuff I'm going to tell you about. take advantage of that stuff, okay? Because sometimes we get new players who join and say, yeah, I'm a super new player, but I don't really want to take something from someone else, and there's probably people that need it more than me. No, if you're new, this stuff is for you, and you shouldn't feel bad at all about taking the free stuff, taking the resources and stuff like that, because that's why we have them, okay? Like, EVE University is not rich, but we're richer than you as a new player, richer than you as a new player. So we can afford to give you out like free frigates and stuff. It's not going to break the bank. So please take them. So after learning, we get to a point where you start to become someone who kind of knows stuff. And I don't mean that you know everything in EVE, because there's very few people that know everything in EVE. So you don't have to know everything in EVE to be able to help other people. But what you can do is, once you start to become someone who knows stuff in the particular thing that you do, then what you can then do is turn around and start helping other people. And you'll notice in EVE University that we don't have, so some other corporations you'll go to, they have like a list of like, okay, there's like these 5 people, and they are for new players to ask questions. So if you're a new player and you have questions, you go to these 5 people and they will answer your questions. We don't have that in EVE Uni. We don't have like a list of people for new players to ask questions to, because the culture in EVE Uni is kind of like everybody helps. It's like everybody is here to help. We don't have like those 5 people. Everybody is here to help other people. And once someone knows stuff, they are highly encouraged to turn around and pass that knowledge on to other people. So, and that's something that I think is really strong about EVE Uni. It's a cultural thing of helping other people. It's not like a job thing. It's people that join EVE University and continue to be a part of EVE University kind of like helping new players. So yeah, that is kind of the next stage of being part of our community. You're probably still learning stuff, but also you're starting to pass on knowledge to other people. You're starting to help others. And then the next stage, being part of our community, it sounds really weird, but it's moving on. So, and it sounds really weird for me as the CEO to be like, oh yeah, you need to leave. But also you kind of do. So the thing with EVE University, it's intended to be a part of your journey. It's not intended to be your entire journey in EVE. There is a big old world out there. There is a big old game. There are so many different corporations, so many different groups that you can join. If you spend your entire time in EVE University, you're going to be missing out on stuff. So the aim of EVE University is to prepare you for the wider game, to get you in, teach you the basics, learn stuff, get to the point where you kind of understand what you're doing and feel like you're ready to go elsewhere, and then move on. So we do actually encourage people to leave, and we do have a pretty high turnover of people who join and learn some stuff and then they move on, and we're fine with that. We're not trying to keep hold of people and keep them forever. We're trying to get people to stay for a while, learn what they need, probably contribute and give back, and then move on. And the important thing to note is that once you move on from EVE University, you're still part of our community. So we have this fantastic alumni network of ex-members who have been in EVE University before and have now left and they've gone on to whatever corporation, but they are still part of our community. They can still hang around in our Discord. You'll see red names. You see Raven in Discord has a red name. That's because Raven is ex-member, but still part of our community. They can still come to classes. They can still answer questions. They can still ask questions. They're still part of our community, but just as ex-members rather than current members. And what that means for you is that we have this fantastic alumni network that you can make use of. So if you want to move on and go to another corporation, you can hop into our alumni channel and you can say, hey, I'm interested in joining this corporation. Does anyone have any information about it? And you can get the tea from people who are actually in that corporation or know about that corporation, and you can use them as a resource for connections outside of EVE University. And then obviously some of those people decide that they want to come back. They either actually come back or and rejoin as a member, or they will come back and do classes, run fleets, just generally provide content for our members. So, and they're welcome to do that. So that is a really good thing about Eve University, the fact that after you move on, you're still part of our community, you're still welcome to come back, and you're part of this, this alumni network that we have. And we have ex-members all across the game. Like I was talking to a CCP member a couple of months ago about something, and one of the first things he said was, I used to be in Eve University back in the day, I love you guys. So it's like we've got ex-members who are now CCP, we've got ex-members in all the all the null blocks, loads of wormhole corporations, all this kind of thing, which is great. We've got all these connections and all these people that hopefully think good about their time in Eve Uni, all across the game. Zinval, will you help us get to the end game in a way? I would say no. So we will teach you the basics. We are not going to be teaching you the super end game stuff because we just don't do that kind of stuff. Like, we don't generally fly capital ships. We don't have a presence in a sovereign nullsec. We don't do high level wormhole stuff. So we don't really do endgame. We will help you get your bearings at the start, and then for more advanced stuff, the idea is then you probably go and head off somewhere else to do the more endgame stuff. So we don't really take you to endgame. We teach you the basics, and then you head off somewhere else. Okay, so next let's talk about our rules. And if there's anyone watching in Twitch who remembers the Eve University rules of old, which were very, very strict, I'm happy to say that the rules are now much lighter than they were before. And they are much shorter. Basically, we try and keep things as easy as possible for new players. We used to have rules on, like security status and no swearing and all that kind of thing, and all of that kind of stuff is gone. So for people who are members of Eve University or have applied, then hopefully you will have read through the rules page and you'll have an idea of what you think the rules of Eve University are really about. So I'm going to throw it out to you guys who are in Discord. What would you say the main rule of Eve University is? Any ideas? Okay, so don't attack each other. That's one suggestion. Have fun. I like that one. Be respectful. Yeah, I like that one as well. Very important. Be nice and don't shoot. I like the first part. I don't really like the second part. I like to shoot people. Don't make me not shoot people. Friendship is the best ship. Love that. Okay, so some good suggestions there. I tend to go with, as a summary of the most important rule, is just basically don't be a dick. Like, if you try and bear in mind don't be a dick, you won't go too far wrong. Okay, so what do we mean by that? So Eve is kind of a game about being a dick. Eve is a game about cheating and backstabbing and stealing and shooting each other, and that's the game. That is the stuff that gets in the Eve news. That is the stuff that you read about on like Reddit and elsewhere. That is kind of the game of Eve. It is kind of about being a bit of a dick, and no moral judgment on that, because that is the game that we have chosen to play. That is the game that I've chosen to play, and I love it. I love that is what Eve is about. However, that side of Eve is not really compatible with really new players learning how to play the game. So what you don't want as a super new player who's learning how to do missions, for example, is to be thinking, is my court mate actually trying to help me? Or are they just trying to lure me out somewhere so that they can shoot me? Are they actually being helpful, or are they just trying to steal my stuff? So for that reason, we don't allow that kind of stuff in EVE University. So we don't allow cheating, scamming, stealing, any of that kind of thing. So ganking, that kind of stuff. That's not something we allow as a member of EVE University. And like I said, no moral judgment on that stuff. That is part of the game, but it's just not conducive to helping new players to not be able to trust people. So yeah, just don't be a dick, basically. Also, falling under don't be a dick is we have zero tolerance policy for any kind of harassment, hate speech, anything like that. So no racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, none of that stuff. This is not the place for that. I would say EVE is not the place for that. But yeah, keep that stuff way over there. Thank you. Way over there. So yeah, that is basically our most important rule, is just don't be a dick. Next, let's talk about neutrality, because neutrality is something that is often misunderstood. And a couple of the comments, people have said, don't attack each other, don't shoot, things like that. So what does neutrality mean? So first of all, why is EVE University neutral? So EVE University tries to stay neutral in terms of EVE politics. So that means we don't side with one party or another. We don't get involved in the big fleet battles that you read about, like the battles over territory and stuff like that, because we don't have any territory. We don't have any sort of... we don't get involved in that kind of stuff. The reason is that we want our members, when they move on from EVE University, as we encourage them to do, to be able to go to any corporation they want. We don't want people turning around and saying, yeah, well, we were going to accept you, but we saw that you're in EVE University and they keep shooting our structures. So, no. We don't want people to be prevented from doing what they want to do because EVE University is seen as partisan in some way. So we try and remain neutral in terms of EVE politics. So what that means for you guys as members, it means that we don't get involved in the big fleet battles that you'll see. So like the battles over Sovereign Nullsec and that kind of thing, we don't get involved in that kind of stuff. Also, from probably a more practical point that you're likely to come across, is we don't shoot structures unless you have permission. So structures they're like stations, but they're owned by players. So it's like a player-owned station, and they can be destroyed. They can be blown up. You can shoot other people's structures and blow them up. As you can probably imagine, people sometimes get a little bit upset if you shoot their structures. I mean, understandably, to be honest. So we are, for the reason of neutrality, we are quite careful on whose structures we shoot. Doesn't mean we never shoot structures, it's just we have people weighing up what we do before we shoot structures. So unless you have permission from someone, then please don't shoot structures while you're a member of EVE University. If you do, we start to get upset mails from people, and we don't want to risk our neutrality, so we are careful on what structures we shoot. So please don't shoot any structures unless you have permission from someone in EVE University to do that. In terms of rules of engagement, so this is who you can shoot and where. So we have friendly fire turned on in EVE University. And what that means is if you are a member of EVE University and you shoot another member of EVE University, Concord, that's the space police, they will not come along and destroy your ship. They will not, because we have turned that on. That's an option that we've turned on, as friendly fire is allowed. And you might say, hold on, Laura, doesn't that go against what we were saying earlier about, a learning environment for new players? No, I don't think it does, because we have lots of events and classes and stuff that involves shooting other Eve University members. So, for example, I run an introduction to fleets class, every introduction to PvP fleets class every other week, which involves us undocking in space and going out and practicing some maneuvers and moving around as a fleet and that kind of thing. And then at the end, we blow up a willing victim who has agreed to be blown up by a bunch of bloodthirsty new bros. And then we can practice things like how you get in position, how how you load your ammo, what your guns work, how your guns work, and just what order you're pressing all the buttons and that kind of thing. So that's really useful to be able to do like a practical live fire exercise on someone else. And that's not the only thing. Like, we do things like sometimes we have Fight Club, which is you put together in twos and you fight each other, and then you give each other feedback and say, maybe if you'd done that, then you almost managed to break my tackle and all this kind of thing. Almost managed to break my tank. So so you can give feedback to each other. We sometimes have an event which is shoot the management. So we get all our managers out in some nice shiny ships and let the members just slaughter them. So those kind of things are stuff that we can only do because we have friendly fire turned on. However, outside of those kind of events, you should not be shooting Eve Uni members. Okay, so you shouldn't be shooting Eve University members unless you have their permission. And taking part in one of those kind of activities, that is getting their permission. You can also just get their permission, just say, hey, does anyone want a 1v1 at the Sun and have a bit of a duel? That's fine, you've got permission, that's fine. But outside of those circumstances, you shouldn't be shooting Eve University members. You should also never be shooting blues. Now, Eve University doesn't have many blues. We have very few blues, in fact. Blues are people that we have good standings towards. So we have good standings towards them. We have a non-aggression pact. So we've agreed, you don't shoot us, we won't shoot you. But we like shooting people. So for that reason, we don't have very many blues. But you should also never shoot blues, and you'll know that they're blue because they'll show up in your overview as blue. They'll have like a little blue icon next to them. So if you see someone with a blue icon, please do not shoot them. And if you see an Eve University member and you don't have consent to shoot them, then don't shoot them. Yeah. Spy says, I read the class name wrong. I wanted to be the volunteer the Murder Kit and Prospects would shoot next week. Next week, come and be shot. We would love another willing sacrifice. Perfect. So outside of blues and uni members, we operate two different rules of engagement. The first one, we operate NBSI in low sec, null sec, and wormholes. Does anyone want to have a guess in the channel what NBSI might stand for? There's a bit of a clue on the slide because the second letter is blue, which is what B stands for. Any ideas for what NBSI stands for? Not blue, shoot it. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, not blue, shoot it. So what that means is, as long as they're not a blue, and as long as they're not a uni member who you don't have consent from, if they are in null sec, low sec, or wormholes, you can shoot them. You can shoot them. Like, in terms of Eve University rules, we're fine with that. So you can shoot anyone that you find in low sec, null sec, or wormholes, as long as they're not blue or a uni member. We have no issue with you doing that. And if they come and complain to us and say, your members shot me in nullsec, we'll say, yeah, okay, sad. But yeah, you won't get in any trouble for shooting even neutrals in low sec, null sec wormholes. That is dangerous space and people should expect to be shot, and you can shoot them. In HiSec, we practice something different, which is NRDS. Any guesses for what NRDS will stand for? Another clue on the slide. Not red, don't shoot. Yep, exactly. So this is kind of the opposite. So in HiSec, you cannot shoot neutrals. So you cannot shoot most people in HiSec. The exception is people who are red. So if they are red, it means that they have bad standings from Eve University, and we're happy for you to shoot them. You can shoot them even in HiSec. Now, important disclaimer: just because something is allowed by the rules of Eve University, it doesn't overwrite the rules of the game. Okay, so if you shoot a red in HiSec and they're not a legal target, Concord will come and destroy your ship. Similarly, in LowSec, you will lose security standing and the gate guns will shoot you if they're not a legal target. So this doesn't absolve you from consequences, but what it does mean is that Eve University is okay for you to do it, even if your ship gets destroyed. So it's just the rules of Eve University and what we're happy for you to do. Does that all make sense? Does anyone have any questions about the rules and who you can shoot and where? Or is that all making sense to you guys? Good question. Xavier says, ROE are waived if you are engaged first, though. So let's say in the situation where you are minding your business and a blue comes along and shoots you. Now, what you should try and do is get away. If you can get away, if you could just warp away, then do that. If you need to shoot them in self-defense, you can do, but you should then let us know that it's happened so that we can go to their CEO and say, what the fuck, dude? Why are you shooting us? We've got a non-aggression pact. So you can shoot people in self-defense, but don't be the person initiating it, and your focus should be on trying to get away as much as you can. Edicorn, what's considered low sec and high sec? Good question. So yeah, it's just in terms of the number of the security status, which is in the top left of your window. So yeah, Spire's set out the numbers. So 1.0 to 0.5 is high sec, 0.4 to 0.1 is low sec, and anything below, so anything 0.0 or below is null sec or wormholes. So it's just the security state of the system. And if you have a look on the Eve University wiki, it sets out the difference between these different types of space. Like there's slightly different stuff, like you only get Concord in high sec, you get gate guns in low sec, there's none of that in null sec. So have a look on the Eve University wiki, it explains in more detail the difference between those type of spaces. Okay, next, let's talk about what do we offer. So what do you get as a member of Eve University? How can we help you to start on your learning journey? Well, first of all, let's talk about our programs. So first of all, the stuff that is in white on this slide, all of this stuff is available to brand new members. So there's no kind of title requirement, there's no age requirement. If you're a member of Eve University, you're entitled to the stuff in white. The stuff in orange we'll talk about later, but that is stuff that you need to have been a member for 2 weeks for, which isn't very long, but yeah. So first of all, let's talk about the stuff that's available for brand new members. So we have our flight deck. So flight deck is free ships, free fitted ships for members. They are mostly frigates. They're on the cheaper side because they're aimed at the brand new players. Okay, they're aimed at, you don't have anything else to fly, so take one of our free ships. So the way that the flight deck works, they are ships that are on contract in Korsiki Horizon, that is our headquarters. If you go to Korsiki Horizon, go to the contract window, which is at the top, and then it's under finance and then contracts. And in the contract search, you want to filter by my corporation. So filter by my corporation, and you'll see that there are a load of contracts for 0 ISK. So the contracts for 0 ISK that say FD in the description, these are flight deck ships, and you can take them and you can use them and you can blow them up, and then you can come back and grab another one. So they're free ships, fully fitted for you to take. You don't need to pay for them, you don't need to reimburse us if you lose them, nothing like that. They're aimed for new players to be able to just like go out and just do stuff. So on the flight deck we have some PvP frigates, we have some abyssal ships, we have some mining ships, so Ventures and Pioneers for mining, we have Herons, which are for exploration. So we have a load of different ships to get you started on some various different areas, and they're aimed at new players. So they require low skill points. They're just there for you to grab and go and try stuff. And yeah, if they blow up, just grab another one. You know, don't go through and grab all of them. People have done that in the past. That's not cool. Just grab them as you need them. So if you need one, just take one. You don't need to worry about, have I taken too many? Just if you need it, if you're using it, then you can take it. You will find that as you get more experienced, you start to think, hold on, I need a slightly more tanky ship. I need a slightly more expensive ship to do this thing. And then by that point, you can afford those. So yeah, the flight deck is aimed at super new players who just need a ship to go and do something, to go and try something and not have to worry about can they afford it. So please make use of them. Please use the flight deck ships and try different stuff. They're there for you to try and to practice. Kaylin, good question. So I'm sure this might get covered later, but is there a best way to get to Korsiki? Looks a bit scary travelling through some low sec to get there. Yes, I will talk about how to get to Korsiki in the part when we talk about communities. So yeah, I'll hold that question for now. I'll come back to it later. Okay, so next, Skillbook Shuttle. So one of the biggest things that you're going to have as a member of EVE University, not even as a member of EVE University, as a new player to EVE in general, one of the biggest hurdles you're going to face is skill training, because you need to train skills for everything. And it's easy for more experienced players to forget sometimes, like how much of a hurdle it is for new players when you first get started and you can't fly anything, and you want to train that, you want to fly that particular thing, and you look at it and it's like, oh, that's going to take me a week to train. You look at that, oh, that's going to take me a couple of months to train. Yeah, it's a big hurdle for new players. So we try and make it a little bit easier for you guys by giving you a load of skill books when you start. So we have skill plans that I'm going to talk about later, but we have a Skillbook Shuttle where basically it's in the same place as the flight deck. It's on contracts in Korsiki. You can just find one that's called Skillbook Shuttle, accept it, and then you will get a shuttle, and inside the cargo hold of that shuttle are a load of skill books. And these are basic skill books that will really help you out at the beginning of, like, when you're a new player. These are skill books that are all really designed to help you out at the beginning, and these will get you through your first 30 and 60 day skill plans with EVE University. So you just accept the contract, you go in the cargo hold, you inject all of the skills, all the skill books that you have, and then any extras that you have, because there's probably stuff you've already trained, just whack it back in the donations hanger, and then we can repurpose it, put it in more skillbook shuttles for other people to use. So yeah, if you're a new player, grab a skillbook shuttle, use the skills, give us back any that you don't need, and that means that you don't need to worry about paying for skills in the first 30-60 days, because you've got all the skills that you need. Beep boop, where is the donations hanger? It is in Korsiki Horizon. There is, under corporation hangers, there is one called donations. Now, just to know, it might show that it's locked. It might, if you try and open it, it will say you don't have access to this. What that means is you don't have access to take stuff out of it, but you still have access to put stuff into it. So if you want to donate anything, just drag it onto the donations hanger and it will go into the donations hanger. But if you get a message saying you can't access this hanger, it just means you can't take stuff out of it, which is intended because we don't want anyone to just, be able to raid all our donations. So okay, so that is the Skillbook Shuttle. Next, let's talk about buyback. So buyback, what is buyback? Buyback means that we will buy your stuff. So Eve University will buy your stuff. And as a new member, you will start to find that you're generating quite a lot of stuff, no matter what you're doing. So if you're doing exploration, you're going to get loot. If you're doing mining, you're going to get ore. If you're doing PvP, you're probably going to get loot as well. Like, no matter what you're doing, you're going to start accumulating stuff. And what you can do is you can gather all your stuff together, you can put it in a hauling ship, you can move over to Jita or one of the other trading hubs, and then you can sell it. And if you want to sell it for the best price, you will need to train some trading skills. You will also probably need to set up sell orders so that you're sort of dripping things into the market to get the best price for them. You'll need to train patience to sell your stuff for the best price. Buyback takes away that admin from you. So the idea is you can just sell your stuff to Eve University. Just you give us the stuff, we give you the ISK. It takes away all the admin stuff. And then what we do is we then go and do all that stuff. We move it to Jita, we set up sell orders, we try and get the best price for it, all of that kind of thing. So we will buy your stuff from you to enable you to liquidate your stuff. Also, what a really good reason to use buyback, not only for the ease, is that basically we will pay you. It depends on what we're buying from you, but it's normally somewhere between 90 to 95% of what we can sell it for in Jita. So we will pay you 90 to 95%, which means that we make a profit on the stuff that we buy from you of somewhere between 5 to 10%, which then goes back into Eve University. So when people say, how can you afford to do this stuff? How can you afford to do flight deck and Skillbook shuttles and SRP and all this kind of stuff? It's buyback. Basically, the profit that we get from buyback is how we afford to do everything else. We're not doing it to make a profit in general. Nobody gets paid in Eve University. Nobody gets a profit share. All of the ISK that we make goes back into to all these other programs and stuff. So by using buyback, you are not only selling your stuff quickly, easily, at a good price, you are also supporting Eve University because we're getting the profit. So yeah, it's optional. You don't have to use buyback. There's no rule saying you have to use buyback. If you want to sell the stuff yourself, you are more than welcome to do it. It's just is there as an option, and it's worth looking into. I know that sometimes some new players look at the buyback instructions and they go, oh, that looks terrifying. It does the first time. The first time you read through the buyback instructions, it's going to sound complicated, but it's honestly not that complicated. Like, if you just follow the instructions, if you get stuck at any point, then just ask. We are more than happy to help you out. And once you've done it once, it's just intuitive after that point. It's just the first time that needs a little bit of extra attention. Beep boop, do we take everything in buyback? Not everything. There is a list on the wiki of what we do take in the various programs. It tends to be basically most of the stuff you'll come across as a new player will take. The notable exception is we don't generally take event stuff. So for example, there's an event going on at the moment, which is the Gallente election thingy, and that is generating some stuff that new players might come across. But the issue with event stuff is it's kind of notoriously like up and down on price. It fluctuates an awful lot at the beginning and takes a while to settle into a good price. So we don't tend to take event stuff because, we don't want to buy it from you and then turns out the market has just crashed and we can't sell it for anywhere near what we paid. So yeah, event stuff is the biggest exception, but we take most stuff in buyback. Most stuff you're going to come across a new player, including ore and salvage and loot and stuff, we will accept in buyback. Okay, next let's talk about the Ship Replacement Programme, SRP. And this is not something that's unique to Eve University. You'll find that most major corporations have some kind of SRP programme. The idea of the Ship Replacement Programme is, so particularly for new players, it can be really intimidating to get into PvP. So to start fighting other people, because you're going to lose ships. And if you're a super new player, you maybe can't afford to be losing ships. So ISK can be a big barrier for new players getting into PvP. And I, for one, love new players getting into PvP. I love the bloodthirsty new bros. So we want to encourage new players to go out and shoot other people. So for this reason, if you lose your ship in an Eve University PvP fleet, we will give you some ISK. We will pay you for losing your ship in an Eve University PvP fleet. And that is intended to soften the financial blow so that you can go out and get another ship and go and blow that one up as well. So that's the idea of the Ship Replacement Programme. It is it applies to Eve University PvP fleets. You'll get reimbursement depending on what you're flying. Affects, what the ISK value is. It's not intended to fully replace the cost of your ship most of the time. So it's intended as a contribution towards the cost, and you're expected to insure your ship as well. Sometimes you will actually end up in profit. So, for example, one of the newest the most new player friendly doctrines that we have is Magic Merlins. And if you fly a Merlin on our Magic Merlin fleets and you claim SRP, you actually end up in profit. You actually end up getting more money back. So you're kind of getting paid to lose your ship. So there's some cases like that where actually you end up fully reimbursed or maybe making a slight profit. But the intention is just to kind of soften the financial blow. It's not intended to fully replace your ship most of the time. Insurance scams, as every good corporation should. Absolutely. We love some insurance scams. Yeah, drain Laura's wallet with SRP, people. Yes, take my ISK. Please take my ISK. Go and create some beautiful explosions and take my ISK to do it. So that's the Ship Replacement Programme, and how it works from a practical point of view is you go on an Eve Uni PvP fleet, the FC will post a link in Fleet Chat and say this is the SRP link. You click on the link, you provide the most basic information, so just a link to your kill mail and a very brief description of what happened, and then our SRP elves will send you some ISK directly to your wallet. So you will get ISK directly to your wallet for losing your ship. You just need to fill out a really simple form. Okay, so next let us talk about stuff that you get when you have the student title. So the student title is a title in Eve University which is applied after you've been in Eve University for 2 weeks. Now, you qualify automatically for the student title. You don't need to do anything or apply for anything or anything like that. It's an automatic qualification, but the game doesn't let you automatically apply titles. So although you qualify for it automatically, we're still dependent on one of the directors going in and manually applying your title. So for that reason, you might not get it on exactly 14 days. It might take 15 days. Sometimes if we're super busy, it might take 16 days for you to get your title. Just be patient. There's real people having to click these buttons, but we will get to you, okay? You don't need to apply for anything or ping anyone unless you want to ping Idris. Always ping Idris if you want to ping Idris. But yeah, so just wait, basically. Just be patient and we will apply your title once you've been in Eve Uni for 2 weeks. Once you've been in Eve Uni for 2 weeks, you qualify for some more stuff. So what you qualify for once you've been a member for 2 weeks is you can get access to the Skillbook wallet. So we have a corporation wallet which has an amount of ISK in. We obviously don't keep all of our ISK in the Skillbook wallet, but there is an amount of ISK in the Skillbook wallet that you can use to reimburse yourself for any skills that you want to train. up to 3.5 million ISK per person per day. So you can reimburse yourself up to 3.5 million ISK per day for skills, for whatever skill you want to train. The only limitation is that it only covers skills that cost up to 3.5 million ISK. So we don't do partial reimbursements. You can't claim like part of like the Amarr Titan skill book, for example, but you can claim anything that costs up to 3.5 million ISK per person per day. So yeah, that gives you a lot of freedom because that covers I think it covers about 250 skills last I checked. So out of any of those skills that you want to train, you can train them and we will reimburse you for it. So yeah, free skills training up to 3.5 million ISK per person per day. Next we have free learning implants. So implants are an item that you can put in the head of your character in game, and they affect your attributes in some way. And these particular implants that we're talking about are learning implants, which will affect your skills training. So basically they make you train skills faster. So, and who doesn't want to train skills faster, especially as a new player when everything seems to take ages? So we will give you a free set of learning implants once you've been in EVE University for 2 weeks. You we'll give you a free set of +3s, so it's +3 to all of your learning attributes, so that will make you train skills significantly faster. And all you need to do is fill out a really simple form. It's just a form on the wiki, it's linked on the wiki. You just, once you've got the student title, you just fill out this super quick Google form and we will send you a free set of learning implants for you to pop in your Capsuleer's head and allow you to train skills faster. Important note, if you do have learning implants, once you've used the program, be aware of how to get into a clean clone. So if you're doing PvP, you don't want to be doing PvP with your learning implants in, because if you lose your ship and then you lose your pod, your implants just explode, they're just gone. And then you can't use them anymore. So if you're doing PvP, if you don't know how to get into a clean clone, ask beforehand. Say, I've got implants, how do I get into a clean clone? And someone will sort you out. So you get into a different clone and then your implants are safe and then you can hop back to them after the fleet. Emil, is the best time to wear learning implants while AFK in a station? It can be. A lot of people decide that they only want to use their implants when they're not actively playing EVE. So like just before they log off, they'll hop into their learning implants and then hop back into a different clone once they're playing again. You don't have to. If you're doing something relatively safe, then you can use your learning implants. It's just basically the only risk is if you're going somewhere where you're potentially going to lose your pod, that's where you want to be careful about learning implants. So if you're going to nullsec or potentially going to lowsec or doing something that's generally risky, then probably don't use your learning clone. But aside from that, it's fine to use them if you're just, mooching around or, I don't know, like mining or doing stuff in high sec, because you're very unlikely to lose your pod there. Gaina, how long does it usually take to get more than one jump clone? You just need to train Infomorph Psychology. It's a pretty quick train, I think. So yeah, every level of Infomorph Psychology, you can add one extra jump clone. And then there's I think it's Advanced Infomorph Psychology, which then gives you more after that. Loken, how long do the implants last? Forever, unless you blow them up. If you try to remove them, they are destroyed. But if you just leave them, they will last forever. They're just a constant bonus. Okay, so next, discounted mining barges. So if mining is your thing, some people find that mining is their thing and it's what they enjoy and they like to shoot the rocks. We get lots of people who like to shoot the rocks. Lots of boos from Dex. We're not judging. If you want to shoot rocks, you can shoot rocks. One thing you will find, if mining is your thing, you will find that there is a big jump from mining in a venture or pioneer to then mining in a mining barge. So mining barges are something that people with Omega clone can use. They are significantly better than the smaller mining ships. They've got bigger cargo holds, they are far more defensible, they are more efficient with mining, they're just better to mine in. But they're also quite expensive, particularly if your income is from mining. So for that reason, we try and get people who are into mining, that like shooting the rocks, to the level of being able to get in a mining barge a bit easier. That was awful English, wasn't it? God, that was so bad. So basically, we try and make the step into a mining barge easier by selling you discounted mining barges. So if you like to mine, you can buy up to 5 mining barges from Eve University for half price. So we will sell you the mining barges at half the normal price they would cost if you went to like Jita and bought it, and we'll fully fit them out for you so you can buy them from us, like discounted mining barges. So yeah, you can, if you want to get a mining barge and get into mining more efficiently, then you can buy discounted mining barges from us. Shooting rocks is nice, but I prefer to have gas. Take that out of context, I will. I've heard you can shoot moons, which is probably the biggest rocks one can shoot now. Moon mining is brilliant. If you, and I say this as someone who doesn't mine, but I love the visuals of moon mining. So yeah, the idea of moon mining is you put a structure next to the moon, and the structure has the ability to blast a big chunk off the moon and then to blast that chunk into loads of little bits. So it's basically like a man-made mining belt that you can then go and mine. And it just looks so cool. The like the graphics of like pulling out this big old chunk of moon and blowing it up, it looks really cool. If you have a chance to watch a moon getting exploded, it's really cool. And then it's a mining belt. You can mine it, so it's like a man-made mining belt, basically. So yeah, moon mining is, we do a lot of moon mining in Eve Uni. If you're interested in mining, have a look at the mining channel, and they can tell you when the mining drills are, like when they're going to be popping the moons. So when the mining is going to happen, the moon mining, and you can go along and mine some moons. Yeah, I know. Okay, that actually sounds really entertaining. Yeah, it is. It is. It's good. Also, for for all the shit that mining gets, it can be a really good like group activity. It could be a really good like first group activity for someone. Going out and just just chilling and just shooting some rocks and having a bit of a chat and that kind of thing. It's just getting people undocked and it's getting people chatting with people. It's not the most ISK efficient thing to do. It's not, you're not going to become like super rich doing moon mining probably, unless you're doing it with like loads of characters. But yeah, it's just kind of like a bit of a social chill out session. So yeah, it can be a nice second screen activity, as Spy says. Yeah. So let's move on from mining. So let's talk about corporation skill plans, because a big question that a lot of new players have is, what should I train? Because there are so many skills in this game. I mean, like Dex said earlier, there's like, if you were just to train all the skills in the game, it's going to take you, I think it was like 27 years last time someone added it all up. So it's going to take you like 27 years to train everything. So realistically, you're not going to train everything. You're going to need to prioritize what you train. So for that reason, we have skill plans, which are aimed at giving you an idea of what you should train. So we have a load of sets of skill plans. We have our 30-day, 60-day and 90-day skill plans. So these are aimed at your first 3 months in the game. They're aimed at stuff that's going to be really useful for you as a brand new player. So you don't have to train them, but yeah, they're there for you. If you don't know what else to train in your first 30, 60, 90 days, you can hop into the skill plans and they will tell you exactly what you need to train. And the first 30 and 60 days are all covered by the Skillbook Shuttle, with one exception, which is thermodynamics. The thermodynamics skill is a bit more expensive, so we don't put it in the Skillbook Shuttles, but I personally put some on contract in Korsiki. So if you're in Korsiki, have a look at the contracts, you'll see that from me personally, there's a load of thermodynamic skill books, which kind of fills in the gap that we don't have in the Skillbook Shuttles. So yeah, so first 30, 60 days are covered by the Skillbook Shuttles. Everything else up to the 90 days is covered by the free skills training that you get after 2 weeks. Once you've done those, there's also a load of other skill plans. So there's a load of specialist plans for, let's say, you want to fly logistics, which is like the healing role in EVE. You want to heal your fleet members. There's a skill plan for that. If you want to do abyssals, there's a skill plan for that. If you want to do mining, there's skill plans for that. So there's loads of skill plans for different areas. And the way that you can find them, or the easiest way to find them, is if you go to your skill training window. So if you're in game, top left, there is your little portrait. Underneath that, there's like a circle which shows you how far you are through training your current skill. If you click on that, it will bring up your skill training window. And then if you go to skill plans and corporation plans, you will see all of the corporation skill plans there. So that's where you find it. It's just in your skill training window under skill plans, corporation plans, and you can go and have a look and get some inspiration for stuff that you should be training. And then you could just add it all to your skill queue. Okay, next, beyond the skill plans, let's talk about the EVE University overview. So the overview is the thing that you see on the right hand side when you are undocked. So it's the list of stations and gates and people and that kind of thing, the stuff you see on the right hand side. That's called your overview. And the default overview that you get when you start the game is pretty crap. It's better than it used to be, but it's pretty crap. So for that reason, we maintain our own overview. We use the EVE University overview, which is a branch off of the ZS overview. So the ZS overview is an overview that's maintained by players, and the EVE University one is just a simplified version of ZS. So the way that the ZS overview and the EVE University overview work is you have filters. So you have different tabs and you can say exactly what you are going to be doing. So let's say, for example, you're doing salvaging. You can choose from the filters, I'm doing salvaging, and then you will see on your overview everything you need to see for salvaging. You can, if you're doing a PvP fleet, you can say I'm doing combat. I want to see rats. So I want to see other players and I want to see rats. And then that's what your overview will show you. So you can choose from the filters exactly what you want to see and personalize it to what you're actually doing. The way to install the EVE University overview, the easiest way, is just go to the in-game channel, which is called overview brackets EVE Uni. So it's overview and then EVE Uni in brackets. If you're a member of EVE University, then you will be in the Corp channel by default. And in the message of the day of the Corp channel, there is a link to the overview EVE Uni channel. So it's overview EVE Uni, and then you just follow the instructions on there. It's super easy. It's just a few button clicks. You don't need to install anything to your computer or anything like that. It's just click, click, click. It'll set up your overview for you. And then probably the game will make a lot more sense. I have had people after this class come back and say, oh my god, I installed the EVE University overview and now I understand what is actually going on because I can see stuff. So I'd highly encourage people to use the EVE University overview. And also, if you're using our overview, then we know what you're looking at. So for things like fleets and stuff, we know what you can see because we can see it as well. So yeah, it's just a bit easier to use the EVE University one. Okay, next let's talk about communities. So communities are just groups of people who are living together and doing some kind of stuff together. So our main community is our headquarters, which is in Korsiki. Korsiki is 7 jumps away from Jita, so it's nice and close. You can do all your shopping. We have got some structures in Korsiki. The picture on the slide is of Korsiki Horizon, which is our biggest structure in Korsiki. It doesn't look like that anymore because it's yellow now, which is much prettier, but that is broadly what it looks like. So Korsiki is high sec. It is 0.6. It is high sec. It's very close to Jita. That's our HQ, and that is, to be honest, where most of our members tend to live, in Korsiki. So if you are not sure where to go, if you have just recently joined EVE, you just recently started playing EVE, and you're like, where should I live? Korsiki is a good option. It's not, you don't have to live in Korsiki, by all means. We don't have any rules or anything, but Korsiki is a good option because in Korsiki we have our structures, we have all of the services that we talked about, so the free flight deck ships, the implants and all that kind of stuff. We also just have a lot of people in Korsiki, so they tend to be doing a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people doing things and planning things, and lots of people to talk to and do stuff with in Korsiki. So yeah, Korsiki is probably a good option. Now, getting to Korsiki, this is a question that was asked earlier, how do I get to Korsiki? And that kind of ties in with another very common question that we get, which is how do I move all my stuff to Korsiki? For the latter, I would say don't. Okay, so if you're a new player and the stuff that you have is stuff that you've got from the tutorials, stuff that you've got from the career agent, stuff that you've got from the Sisters of Eve Epic Arc, you're probably not going to use it again. You might go to all the effort of moving it to Korsiki and then just never touch it again. So I would say just either leave it or sell it, or just like trash it, whatever, just get rid of it. Just basically Marie Kondo that shit out of your life because you're not going to use it anymore. Once you move to Korsiki, you've got all the free stuff that I talked about. You've got Jita a few jumps away where you can buy anything you need. You're probably not going to use that stuff anymore. So don't worry too much about moving it. Don't worry about hauling stuff. Like, just grab a shuttle. Just grab a shuttle. It's a cheap, fast ship, and you can just fly straight to Korsiki. That also answers the former question about how to get to Korsiki. Grab a shuttle. Just bring yourself. You don't need to bring anything else, just grab a shuttle, bring yourself over to Korsiki. Your route, depending on where what your starter system was, it might involve going through some low sec. So for example, if you're like Amar, you're going to need to go through at least some low sec to get to Korsiki. But yeah, so just bring yourself in a shuttle or a super cheap ship, just bring yourself and fly over there. There's no shortcuts, unfortunately. I mean, you can remote set it as your home station and then self-destruct, but you can only do that once a year, so it's probably not terribly useful for you. But go through Amazon, trial by fire, yes. Yeah, the particular system that we're talking about, the low sec system you'll need to go through from Amar is Amazon, which is a choke point. So basically, you have to go through that system if you're going the shortest way in between Jita and Amar, which are two big trading hubs. So for that reason, a lot of people decide to take their shiny stuff through Amazon, which is a low sec system, and so people, of course, camp Amazon and shoot people coming through because they might be carrying shiny stuff. So just be a little bit careful in Amazon. But if you're just in a shuttle, then if you lose your shuttle, worst case scenario, you just grab another one. So yeah, that's my advice. Don't worry about bringing all your stuff. Just bring yourself. That's the most important thing at the end of the day, isn't it? Bring you. Yeah, Rivari says for context, 18 ships destroyed in the last hour according to the EVE map. And that seems fairly low, to be honest, for Amazon as well. So yeah, it's a pretty active system. Okay, speaking of LowSec, we also have a LowSec community which is based in Isprobata. So the LowSec community is based in Isprobata. They live in LowSec, obviously. So what can you do in LowSec that you cannot do in HighSec? Well, you can do lots of PvP. They do lots of PvP fleets from the LowSec community. They also do faction warfare. So faction warfare is a good entry point to PvP, and you can make money doing it. So you can enlist for, so Isprobata is on the Amarr Minmatar warfront. So you can enlist for either Amarr or Minmatar, and you can go out and do some plexing and do some faction warfare and earn some LP, get some ISK, and fight other people. So yeah, you can do LowSec, you can do faction warfare in LowSec. You can also they do a lot of gas huffing in and around the LowSec community. So you can huff some gas, which is a good way to make some ISK. Yeah, and also the LowSec community is they're just super friendly. Basically, they're super aimed at new players, and you can just go there as a new player and say, hey, I have never been to LowSec before, can you help me? And they will help you learn to survive and thrive in LowSec. There's no like minimum title requirements or minimum like time in game or anything like that. In fact, some people think in EVE that there's like a linear progression from like you start in HighSec and then you go to LowSec and then you go to NullSec and then you go to Wormholes, like that there's like a difficulty level. It's not really like that. So LowSec is more dangerous than HighSec because people can shoot you, and if people can shoot you, they will try and shoot you. But also it's higher reward. So it's not a high difficulty level, it's just a different experience than HighSec. You're going to be doing different stuff with different kind of difficulty. So yeah, you can, if you want to go to LowSec from like day one, you can go to LowSec from day one. And we do have people that move straight to the LowSec community and have a great time there. So it's not like you need to be like really experienced to go to LowSec. Just yeah, if LowSec appeals to you, then head down to the LowSec community. Emil, I have moved to LowSec week 2, so much more ISK. How have you found it? How have you found it being part of LowSec? Also, while Emil is typing, the LowSec community in Isprobata is right next to Turner. Turner is a system with a load of wormholes, so it's really good for fast travel. So from Isprobata, you can go through Turner and you can be like way across the map really quickly. So it means it's like an ideal place to base yourself for PvP roams because you can just go through Turner basically. So Emil says, love it. Risk is worth the reward. Excellent. Glad to hear. And then another community that we have is our incursions community. So incursions they're like a high level PvE content. So they are fleet PvE. You are shooting NPCs called Sancha and called Sancha rats. And you can make a lot of ISK doing incursions. In fact, I would say that incursions are probably the best ISK that you can make in HighSec, possibly with the exception of high level abyssals, but incursions you can make really good ISK running incursions. And incursions, they tend to fly, so they fly in a group, and they tend to fly on the shinier level of ships. So they will fly marauders, they will fly battleships, that kind of thing. You're looking at like battleship and above for incursions in EVE University. Having said that, there is one particular role in an incursion, which is a dropper, which involves the ability to fly a venture. So if you are a new player and you're interested in incursions and seeing what they are like, then hop into our Incursions General channel and say, hey, I want to fly a dropper, and they will help you out. So you can go along and you can do a particular role. They will tell you exactly what you need to do, and you will get some nice ISK from just doing a dropper. And then you can just hang out with them and see what it's like and see if incursion is something you might enjoy before you go about investing all the ISK that you will need. Sorry, not the ISK, the skill points that you will need in order to be able to fly the battleships that everyone else is flying. So it's a good way to test out incursions. And the incursions community, I can say, are super friendly. So I've been playing EVE for like 14 years, and until some point last year, I had never done an incursion before in my life, and I thought I should probably go along and try it. So I hopped into the incursion community, the Discord, and I was like, hey guys, never done an incursion, I know nothing, can you please help me? And they immediately they helped me out. I got a loaner ship from them. They explained exactly what I needed to do, like gave me the full-on idiot-proof guide to doing incursions, and I was able to follow along just fine. So I'm sure you will be as well. So just hop in, just say that you don't know what you're doing, and they will help you out. And by their nature, they're nomadic. So the way that incursions work, they spawn in one place, they're there for a while, and then they end, and then they spawn somewhere else. So the incursion community moves between focus to focus. So there's not one place that I can say, go there to run incursions. All I can say is hop into the Incursions General channel and ask, and they will help you out, tell you where the nearest focus is, and all of that kind of thing. So they're nomadic, they move around. Beep Boop did that today for the first time. Was that the dropper role? How did you find it? Emil, are incursions larger scale home fronts? Not really. They're kind of similar in that they are PvE fleet content, but they are different to the type of stuff that you will do in home fronts. And you make really good, you make better ISK in incursions. Home fronts, you make good ISK for new players. Incursions, you make good ISK for even experienced players. Spy, yesterday was my first time flying as DD in incursions. Nice. Again, same question to you. How did you find it? Okay, Beep Boop says, today was 44 jumps from Jita, took a shortcut through Lowsec. Yeah, interesting, to do Venture Dropper. Nice. Did you make some good ISK from doing the Venture Dropper role? And was it easy to understand what to do for people who are thinking that they might want to do it? Yeah, and Spire's added to the question about Air Incursion's larger scale home fronts. It's like better missions, not as complex as home fronts. It's get in, shoot rats. Home fronts have a bit more variation. Oh, nice. Spy says about trying Incursion DD for the first time. It was great. So good, in fact, I've already bought my own Navy battleship for it. So great. It was obviously a good experience. I've already bought a ship. Beep Boop said 160 mil-ish, but that was double as my first time. Easy enough to do an adventure, just need to make sure you're entering the mining spot at the correct time. So that's pretty good. 160 million ISK for flying a venture and dropping some lie right places. That's good ISK. Nice. And as Beep Boop says, that was double, because if you, in the EVE Uni Incursions community, if you're on your first fleet as a dropper, they pay you double. So yeah, but still, nice ISK. Spy, I'm crying at the 700 mil investment, but I'll make it back in no time. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so that is our communities, let's talk about Discord. So the Eve University Discord it's public. Anyone can join. So if you are listening on Twitch and you're not currently in the Eve University Discord, you can join. If you go to the Eve University wiki and look up connecting to the Discord as a guest, there are instructions for you to join. It's super easy. And for people who are members of Eve University, then the Discord, you'll have a load more channels than non-members, because you'll have access to all the member channels. But also Discord is where we plan our events. So if you go into the Eve University Discord server, if you scroll right up to the very top of the channel list, then one of the options is events. And if you click on that, you can see like a chronological list of all of the events that we have coming up. So you can see all of the events that we have. And if you click on the event, you can see more information. So you can see, more information about the event, the description, where it's going to leave from, all of that kind of thing. You can also, there's a little interested button, so you can click that you're interested in the event, and then Discord will notify you when the event starts. And also there's this little thing here, this little 3 dots next to share, which is if you click on that, one of the options is to export to calendar, and you can export to your Google Calendar. So basically you can export individual events to your own private calendar, and I do that a lot, and a lot of people don't realise that option is even there because it's kind of hidden away. But if you export it to your Google Calendar, then you probably have your Google Calendar like on your phone, so you can see like in real time what's coming up and plan stuff. So yeah, feel free to export stuff to your own calendar. Next, pings. So we have ping channels in the Eve University Discord, and we have so many different things that are going on in Eve University that you're probably not going to be interested in everything. So we basically ask you as a member to tell us what you're interested in, so that we can ping you about stuff that you're actually going to be interested in. So for example, we have a ping channel for PvP. So if you're interested in PvP, you're going to want to opt in to ping PvP, and then you will get pings about fleets that are going out, PvP fleets that are going out. If you're interested in mining, there's a ping mining. If you want to do incursions, there's a ping incursions. So there's loads of different stuff that you can get pinged about. The way that you opt in is if you go to Alliance Auth and then go to Groups. So if you go to the Eve University Alliance Auth and then go to Groups, then you can opt into the various channels there. You can opt into the groups, and then you will see the ping channels, and you can opt out in exactly the same place. So if you decide that actually you're not too interested in like PvE or something, then you can just opt out of it again in the same place. A couple of channels to draw your particular attention to. So as a member, at the very top of the Eve University Discord, there is a announcements internal channel, which is where we will post important information about stuff that's happening in Eve University. So important changes that are made that you need to be aware of, that kind of thing. Yes, keep an eye on the announcements internal channel. Also, there's a Mentor Finder channel, which warrants additional explanation, because the idea of the Mentor Finder channel is it's to kind of pair you up with people who can help you one-on-one with particular things. So subject matter experts, basically. But as I said earlier, really nobody knows everything there is to know about Eve, or very few people do. So it's not really useful to go into the Mentor Finder channel and say, I want someone to teach me Eve. Because if it turns out that actually what you want to know about is exploration, and the person that answers you only does PvP, then they're not going to be able to answer your questions. So what I would recommend before posting in the Mentor Finder channel is narrow it down a little bit. Do a little bit of research yourself, try some things, ask some questions, get an idea of what you actually want to learn, and then post in the channel to say, I want to learn about this thing. And the more specific you can be, the better chance you're going to get paired up with someone who knows what they're talking about. So do a little bit of research first, then post the Mentor Finder channel and say what you want to learn, and then somebody should contact you and say, hey, yeah, I can help with that. So yeah, Mentor Finder is for finding subject matter experts to help you out one-on-one with particular things, but just try and be as specific as you can in what you're asking for. Okay, and finally, we have the Eve University Wiki. So the Eve University Wiki is a site that we've maintained for over 20 years. It is the best resource about factual information about EVE Online. I am aware that there have been some issues with Google recently. Google, for some reason, has decided that it doesn't like some of our wiki pages and has just decided to delist them. We don't really know why, because it's just affecting random pages. Like, it doesn't like mining, but it does like abyssals, that kind of thing. It's like, there's no rhyme or reason to it. We are looking into that with Google. We do have an SEO person that we are liaising with to try and fix that. But for now, if you just look up the Eve University Wiki, which Dex is linked, and there's a search bar in there. Just use the internal search if you need to. Some pages are still showing up on Google. It's just random ones that seem to have disappeared. So everybody uses the Eve University Wiki. I don't think I'm really exaggerating that much in saying that. Dex says CCP use it, don't they? Yeah, exactly. So CCP have told us on multiple occasions that they use the Eve University Wiki to tell them how their game works. So quite often they're like, oh, how does that thing work again? What's that formula? And they will just use the Eve University Wiki to just quickly refer to stuff. So even the developers of the game use the Eve University Wiki. Pretty much everyone uses it. It's really commonly used, and we're proud that we have it because it's an awesome thing. But an important thing is that it's not written by one person. There is not one person who knows everything about Eve and is writing every wiki page. It's a community-based effort, and everybody can edit the Eve University Wiki. Even if you're not a member of Eve Uni, you can edit the Eve University Wiki. All that you need to do is go down to the bottom left. There is a little profile icon, like a little person icon. If you click on that and then click login with EVE Online, and then you can make edits. So if you see something in the EVE University Wiki which isn't right, so for example, if you see at the lower end just a typo, if you see a typo that's bugging you in a page, just log in and change it. Super easy. If you see a grammatical error, just change it. And then if you're referring to the EVE University Wiki and it's wrong, it's going to happen sometimes that the wiki is wrong. Either normally because the game has changed. The game has changed and the wiki hasn't been updated for whatever reason. So sometimes the information originally was wrong, but more often it was right at some point, but is now no longer correct. So if you find something that's wrong, just change it. Just log in and change it. It's as easy as that. We highly encourage people to log in and make changes to the wiki. Also add stuff. If you're looking at, new patch notes and there's something else that's been released and it's not on the wiki yet, just make a page. Just make a page and put on what information you have, and people can always add to it later. So please do feel free to edit the Eve University Wiki. We love it when people edit the wiki, and we will help you out as much as we can to make edits. And also don't worry too much about making it pretty. We have people who can make it pretty. So if you just want to make the changes, and then even better, if you just want to post in the wiki channel or our Discord and say, hey, I made this change, but I wanted it to be in a table and I don't know how to do tables, someone can come along and help with that bit. So don't get focused too much on making it look pretty and style and stuff like that, unless you want to. If that's your thing, then go for it, but don't not make edits because you don't know how to make it look nice. The most important thing is having the right content. So feel free to just do the content if you just want to do content. Also, another thing that people do get worried about with editing the Eve University wiki is they think they're just going to make a mistake. And they think that they are just going to mess it up and break it. Firstly, it's really difficult to break the Eve University wiki. Don't worry too much about that. But also, if you do make a mistake, if you do mess something up, there is version history. That is another really good thing about having a wiki. There's a version history. So you can go to the history page and it stores all previous versions of the page. So you can see previous versions and you can also roll back to previous versions. So if you do make a mistake and you completely mess it up and you save the page and it looks wrong, just roll it back. Just roll it back to how it was before. Super easy. Dex says, may I suggest you mention the dude who tried to delete it all? Yes, we had a guy who was kicked from Eve University for being a massive douche canoe and decided to validate that decision to kick him by trying to sabotage the wiki. So basically, he went onto the wiki, chose a random page and cleared all the information from the page. He wiped the page and then he chose another one and cleared it, another one, cleared it, and he spent like over 2 hours doing this, right? He went through as many pages as he possibly could for about 2 hours, deleting all the content from the page, until someone obviously came across a page that was blank, that wasn't supposed to be blank, said, why is the content on this page gone? And we realised what he was doing and obviously banned him from editing the wiki. But then also we rolled back all his edits and it took me and my husband Bates, who's our IT guy, it took us about 6 minutes to roll back his like 2 hours plus of sabotage. And that was not even doing it quickly. That was just like chatting and, having our tea probably. So yeah, it's really easy to roll back edits, whether it's you just made a bit of a mistake or whether it's someone decides to be a bit of a knob and try and make, cause us problems. It's easy to roll back. I'm so English sometimes. Yeah, I am. Sorry. Actually, no, sorry, not sorry. Okay, so that is it for the talky part of this class, as in the part of my class lecturing you. There we go, that bit's over. So what I'm going to say now is I'm just going to open the floor to any questions. So if you guys have any questions, then feel free to post them in the Discord channel or in Twitch chat if you're listening on Twitch. If you don't have any questions and you're leaving us at this point, I would really appreciate your feedback. So I have linked a feedback form in the Discord chat channel. I do this class every other week. I'm always trying to improve it and make it better. So I really want your feedback on how you think it went, what I could do differently, what was confusing, all of that kind of thing. So please fill out the feedback form, let me know so that I can try and make it better next time. And if you are leaving us at this point, thank you very much for coming. Really appreciate it. Hope you can use this to make the most of your time in Eve University. Moving on to some of the questions. So Kale says, was it the guy with the Veleta forever in Korsiki? No, he's a different douche canoe. The guy in Korsiki also got kicked from Eve University for being a transphobe and decided to maintain a protest. So he's been maintaining a silent protest that Eve University won't let him be a transphobe for over a year now. That's the story behind the guy in the Veleta in Korsiki. He's our little pet transphobe who follows us around. What the fuck? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, different strokes, different folks, I guess. But yeah, like I said at the beginning, we have zero tolerance policy for any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, he's got a bio which says about how I'm such an awful like woke person and how I'm just destroying Eve University by all my lefty leanings and all this kind of thing. And he just sits outside the station in Korsiki. Like every day he logs in and undocks and just hangs out around there, just having his little transphobic protest. I know. Dedication, hey? Yes. Okay, so Eddie Korn says, how long should the process take from learning in Eve Uni to moving on? That is completely subjective, to be honest. So some people will join Eve Uni, they'll go to a few classes, they will find the niche that they want to do, and then they'll move on quite quickly. So we're talking like, a few weeks, something like that. Some people join Eve Uni and um, I mean, I've been mostly in Eve Uni for 14 years, so some people stick around because they just like helping new players and they're still learning stuff and all of that kind of thing. So it's completely up to you. There's no, like, we don't generally say, like, get out. We, like, you specifically get out. We say, okay, you're welcome to stay around as long as you're learning, as long as you're helping. If you're getting to the point where you're not learning or helping, then we might kind of gently encourage you to maybe seek opportunities elsewhere. But yeah, there's no time limit or anything like that. Just whenever you feel like you've learned enough, then you can then move on. Hafu, I noticed there are events on the in-game calendar. Should we join those as accepted, etc. too? So the events in the in-game calendar, there are not as many of them because it's not a requirement. So if you're planning an event in Eve University that's going to be coming up in the future, it's pretty much a requirement that you put it in Discord because that's like our main source of future events and stuff. It's not a requirement for you to put it in the in-game calendar. Some people do like to do that, but there's less events on the in-game calendar because there's only some people that do it. So you can use the in-game calendar. You don't need to say accepted to come along to an event. You can if you want, but you don't need to. But that's just kind of like a little extra, basically. The main source of upcoming stuff is the events in Discord. Beep boop, can we blow him up? I'm gonna do it. We have in the past, we have blown him up before. Emerald, do we have a capital ship in this corp? I have the ability to fly a Fanny and a Nyx, but never have. There's like a long running joke that we have no caps in Eve Uni. Some people in Eve Uni have the ability to fly capital ships. They don't get a lot of opportunity to fly capital ships. In fact, I can't think of any opportunity to fly capital ships since we left Nullsec. So we used to have a Nullsec community, we don't anymore. And so I can't. You can fly caps in Eve Uni, like there's no rule against it, but you kind of won't really have the opportunity. So yeah, because we don't get involved in like the big sov battles and stuff like that, and we don't have a presence in Nullsec, so unfortunately, no, probably you won't have a lot of opportunity to fly caps in Eve Uni. Beep Boop, is Ivy League somewhere to progress to, or rather the corps in Ivy League? So there's only one corp in Ivy League, which is Eve University. So Ivy League is the Alliance, and the corporation is Eve Uni. So we don't have like more advanced stuff. We don't have like corporations where you can do more advanced stuff. We do have, as I said, we do have our alumni network, so you can reach out to people and maybe get recommendations for corps to go to. We also have the work fair. So in our Discord, there is a channel called the Work Fair where we invite people to come along and post like adverts for their corporations and try and recruit our members because we want people to leave and go on to good places. So you can have a look at the work fair and try and find somewhere to go on to, or you can ask in the alumni channel if anyone has any recommendations. And quite often we have alumni buzzing around who are alumni. That's bad English, isn't it? Quite often we have alumni buzzing around who can recommend stuff. Yeah, singular is alumnus, I think. Okay, do we have any other questions? I think I'm all caught up with questions at this point. And you guys have been listening to me for like an hour and 40 minutes, so it's completely understandable if you guys just want to say, yeah, I'm done with listening to you talk, Laura. Thank you. Cheers. Hey, we're learning stuff. Yeah. Yeah. We also, I think someone pointed out NPSI as well, which obviously you're familiar with, but other people might not be familiar with. So NPSI, for people who haven't heard of that acronym, is Not Purple Shoot It. So that is basically like public PvP fleets, where the idea is no matter what corporation you're in, no matter what group you fly with, you can go along and join NPSI content. And if you join a fleet with someone, you're purple. So that the acronym NPSI means Not Purple Shoot It. So basically, you're going out to shoot anyone who's not in the fleet with you. So EVE Uni members can join NPSI fleets. The only thing is that our rules of engagement still apply. So you can't shoot blues, you can't shoot uni members. But to be honest, I mean, I go on quite a lot of NPSI fleets, and we've very rarely run across blues, and like even more rarely run across uni members. So yeah, and if what we say is if you come across them, just don't shoot. Like you can still go along, just don't actually shoot your guns, and then you're fine. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love NPSI fleets. It's probably one of the content that I do the most, to be honest, because you kind of like I love doing EVE Uni PvP fleets, but also um, our FCs tend to be newer. They tend to be training, so we don't tend to have the super experienced FCs, the super experienced scouts and stuff that you can get in NPSI fleets. And sometimes you just kind of want to go and be guaranteed some content. You just want to actually definitely shoot something. So I like NPSI fleets for that kind of thing. Oh, nice. I'm honoured. Oh, blimey. Yeah, war is coming to Eve. Okay, well, I think we are all caught up with questions. I think people are chatting now, so okay, that's fine. What I will do is say thank you very much for coming, guys. I hope that this has been useful. I hope that you feel more confident now to be able to go out and make the most of your time in Eve University. Um, I would highly encourage you to come to my class next week. I alternate this class one week, and then I do introduction to PvP fleets the next week. So if you're interested in going out and creating some beautiful explosions and murdering some people, come along to my class this time next week, and we will do introduction to PvP fleets. And thank you everyone for coming. Very much appreciate it.